Hello student, today we are going to start the new topic and that is nothing but the absorption of water. In previous lecture we have gone through the various terminologies which is generally used in plant physiology. The terminology is like plasmolysis, then imbibition. Along with that we have also gone through the osmosis, diffusion. So in today's lecture we are going to look towards the another topic, and that is nothing but the absorption of water. Now as we know that all the living organism is having the requirement of the water, and water is the most important parameter for the plants also. Okay, so here in today's topic we are going to take the look, or we are going to consider that how this particular water is absorbed by the plants and then how it is transferred towards the different branches, then leaves and different parts of the plants. Now the most crucial thing in absorption of water is uptake of water. As we know that animal is having different organs to uptake this particular type of structures. Say for example, to drink water we have a different organs. Say for example, we have hands to hold the glass of water, then we have mouth to drink the water and transfer this water to the digestive system, and again it will transfer to the different parts of the body. But in plants there is a specialized structure like roots. These roots are the most important part of the plant to absorb the water which is present in the soil. Not only water, but the nutrients will also taken up by this particular type of roots. Now uptake of water by plants is called absorption of water. So when the water which is present in a soil, that we call it as a capillary water. So this capillary water is absorbed by the plant, and that is nothing but the uptake of plant. Plant absorb water from the soil through their root hairs. So as we have discussed in previous lecture that the plant is having the root, and this main root is having again the smaller roots that we called it as a root hairs. So these root hairs absorb the water which is known as the capillary water. Now what is capillary water? The water which is attached with the soil, then the different particles which is present in the soil, like stone is there, then sand is there, or some living material is there, or simply a dead material is there. So water attached to this material is absorbed by the plants, and this process is known as water absorption. Now water is a liquid part, and this liquid part is absorbed by the root hairs from the soil. Now for this procedure, what is required? For this procedure, root hair is required. These root hairs will attach with the particles which is present in the soil, like sand, like suppose a dead material of the plant. So the root hairs will attach to these particular parts, and then it will absorb the water from the soil and the different particles of the soil. Water is mainly absorbed by the root hairs, we know very well. This area rich in root hairs is called root hair zone. So when we talk about the roots, the root is having a different parts. Say for example, there will be a presence of zone of root or zone of root hairs. Along with that, zone of elongation is present. Below that, root cap is present, and these different regions which is present in the root is having the different purposes. Say for example, the root cap which is present at the end of the root is it will act as a penetration machine. So the root can penetrate to the soil and it will go deep to the soil. After that root cap region, there will be a presence of the zone of elongation. Means the root get elongated from this particular part known as zone of elongation. And beyond this zone of elongation, there is a presence that is the root zone area or area of root zone. So this is nothing but the root structure. Now what we can say, when we look towards the typical root hairs, typical root hair is having the cell wall, then this outer body is there, or outer cover is there, and inside to that there is a presence of vacuole. So vacuole like structure or vacuole is present in the cytoplasm of the root or root hair. Now root hair is a modified epidermal cell. So when we talk about the definition of root hair is known as the modified epidermal cell. So what happens, the epidermis which is present on the root get modified and it forms into root hairs that will helps in the absorption of water. Now next cell wall to this particular root hairs or external root hairs, inside to that there is a presence of cytoplasm, and this cytoplasm is having vacuole which is present in a cell sap whose water potential is negative than the soil solution. Means what? There is a chance to absorb the water due to presence of this particular vacuole, and due to this vacuole the charge or negative charge is present in that particular root hairs. Now how the water is absorbed? Now as we know that absorption of root is having a particular procedure or having a particular path, so that is known as the path of absorption of water or absorb water. First of all, water will present in the soil, so that is the requirement for the absorption of water. Because if water is not present in the soil, then plant cannot absorb anything. So requirement is there, the presence of water in a soil in the form of capillary water. Now when we look towards the rainy season, or when we look towards the plant in rainy season, some plant will die due to high amount of water. Say for example groundwater is there, and if this groundwater is present in a large amount, the plant will die. That means what? The water is required for the plant in a capillary form. So capillary water is required, and then only the plant can absorb the water. Now what? After crossing the cortical cell which is present to the, or when we talk about the path of absorption, the first thing, the part of the water is absorbed by the outer cell of the root hairs, and then it is forwarded, or we can say it moved towards the cortical region, cortical cell of the region which is adjacent to the epidermis. Now what happens? From these particular cells, that is cortical cells, it will move towards the endodermal cell, or it will move towards the inner side of the cell. All these things will happen due to the negative potential or negative part which is present inside to the cytoplasm of the cell. Now water movement from one cell to another cell through any another cell is brought by the turgor pressure. So as we discussed in earlier lecture, there will be a turgor pressure, and due to this turgor pressure, what happens? The water will move from the one cell to the inner cell, or one cell to other cell. Now absorption of water through the soil towards the epidermal cell, from the epidermal cell towards the cortical cell, then it will come towards the inner side of the endodermal cell. Now the protoplast of the root hair is hypertonic, and the soil is hypotonic, and the soil water is hypotonic. Now as we discussed in earlier lecture that hypertonic and hypotonic structure is there, and due to this hypertonic and hypotonic parameters, the water will transfer from one cell to another cell. Now as the water moves towards the inner cell or the adjacent cell, it will reach to the other part through this particular process, and it will move towards the xylem. Now through the endodermis, water will reach towards the xylem. Now xylem is the most important parameter for the transfer of water. So as we know that xylem and phloem, these are the two types of tissues which is present in the cell or in the plant that is responsible for the movement of water and food material from the plant body. So now water is absorbed by the root hairs, then it comes towards the cortical region through the epidermis, then it will reach to the endodermis, and through endodermis it will reach towards the xylem part of this pith region or the internal region of the root hairs. So from this xylem again the water will move and it will reach towards the different part of the plant body. So we stop with this discussion here. In upcoming lecture we are going to discuss the active absorption, passive absorption, and how this water again absorb and then transport to the different part of the plant body.